Ladies and gentlemen, it is currently 1:02 p.m. over here in the United States, and over in Germany, where our friend Gio is, it is a lot later. Is it like about 7 p.m. or something? That's what you said last night?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is 7 p.m. over in Germany, and we will be going into the details of like where he's at, all that fun stuff. But welcome to the 18th episode of the Anatomy Podcast. I am your host, Sean Cross, and today we are going to be hosting none other than Gio from Red Means No Mercy, in which adding another band to the lineup, as always, is really, really cool. But on top of that, jumping across the ocean and going into these European countries. I mean, the last we did that was with Distant, which was the Netherlands. So I am super hyped to be bringing, once again, another European band into the lineup, endorsing them, helping promote any content that they have already released and what they have yet to release, that type of fun stuff. So, as you guys know, with the Anatomy Podcast, we have two sections for the session itself. And this is just speaking for the Anatomy Podcast. We have when like the members and stuff, the people. We're talking about the people. We're getting to know their musical background, where they grew up, how that affected the songwriting, all that fun stuff, top five records. It's going to be really fun. And then in the next part, the second half of the Anatomy Podcast session, we will be asking all the juicy questions like, how was Red Means No Mercy formed? Where was the band name established? What they think helps distinguish Red Means No Mercy from other bands, and what is next. So as we dive into the session and go ahead and learn about the people, we do indeed have the vocalist of Red Means No Mercy with us here tonight. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm fine. I have a lot to do, but it's always nice to have like something relaxing as a podcast.
Yes.
To get like something through the day.
Yeah, exactly. And like, honestly, it's funny because at the beginning of the podcast and everything, and even promoted recently by my editor, I was thinking at the beginning of actually having Warzone sessions with musicians and then doing questions like this, which sounded incredibly stressful. And I forgot who told me that, but they're like, maybe you should just do a podcast instead of being sweaty in Warzone and then asking the questions at the same time whilst trying not to get your ass whooped in, the map in, let's see, Verdansk, and now being this more Pacific map, this more Pacific oasis. But to start off, we wanted to go ahead and learn more about you, my friends. So tell us your name, tell us where you were born, and basically take as much time as you want. But after all the elementary level questions, really, except, what is your favorite color or what is your favorite animal, that type of shit. We'll go ahead and dive into what got you into contributing to your current project. So take it away, sir.
So yeah, as you say, I'm Gio or Geo, and my full name is Georgiy Demchenko. As you can already notice, I am not from Germany itself. I was born in Ukraine, in Kiev. Yeah, we moved here when I was like really little.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm 21. We have the band since 2017, so like 5-year anniversary this year. Yeah, I'm studying to become a teacher, as like a lot of metal vocalists in Germany.
All right.
Yeah, also I work at Burger King, like as a part-time job, got the band and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Well, basically start off after getting all those like kind of elementary things out of the way and just like, oh, I have a job and I want to become a teacher and stuff, which is actually really, really cool. And by teacher, do you mean like a vocal teacher or what?
No. I'm becoming a teacher for like 5 to 13th grade.
Oh.
For German language and history.
Oh, wow. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's definitely not, elementary level, as I just stated. So I recount that statement. But instead, we have a vocalist on here who's looking to get into education and teaching, which is really, really cool. I half expected you to be wanting to get into vocal teachings and stuff like that, but that's actually even cooler. And you said you were born in the Ukraine, which is, I can only imagine, crazy and very
Yeah.
interesting experience right now, for lack of a better term, with everything going on. And I mean, our thoughts and prayers go out to the people who are actively trying to flee and or who are defending the Ukraine right now, and defending Kyiv, kind of lashing back at the Russians for what it's worth and when the time is necessary, which I heard about the other day. That was actually pretty impressive. Just like out of nowhere, artillery strikes on Russian tanks. I'm like, that's smart. Give them the idea that, you are defenseless, and then kind of come back and, make a comeback, to say the least. And definitely not encouraging war, but, this is attempted genocide. So it is very important, and it's very, very honorable and inspiring what the Ukrainian people are doing right now. And you said at the age of 5 or something, you ended up moving to Germany, right? So I do apologize.
Yeah.
I have to ask again. You said you moved to Germany at the age of 5 or something?
At 3. Yeah.
3. Wow. Okay. And
Yeah.
what part of Germany are you currently in?
It's called Hessen or Hesse, I think.
Hessen?
Yeah, it's like the middle. I live in the middle of Germany.
Oh, wow.
Exactly the middle.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. So you're at the epicenter of Germany, which again, it's really awesome to be talking to folks over there. It seems like, I mean, centuries ago, the only way to do this type of thing, the only way to communicate over there would be through a freaking portal or something. Just like, all right, let's talk to our German allies over there. But that's really cool, actually. And I have to ask then, what got you into wanting to become a teacher for German language and history? Because that's a very fresh thing for the podcast, and just a fresh thing for my own perspective personally.
So the thing is, I did German and maths, but then I switched maths to history because it's really hard to study at COVID times, like especially math.
Right.
But I can still become a math teacher later, because it's like the thing. Yeah, you know how to teach, and if you got the basics, then you can teach it later.
Right.
Yeah. German language was actually pretty hard for me, but then like at the last years of school, I got really good, and I really started to enjoy like lectures and literature.
Sweet. That's actually really cool.
History was and history was like the thing I would have changed if I didn't want to do German language, but then it turned out to be a change for maths.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool. And, just for the sake of a white boy from the United States, not really knowing that much about Ukrainian culture, just for the sake of speaking on language, which you're going to be teaching German language eventually, which is super cool. Does Ukraine have its own language separate from Russian, or do they speak like a separate iteration of Russian?
So like most people speak Russian, but a lot of people also speak Ukrainian, it's like an own language. It has parts of Russian language, but it's actually really different.
Okay, cool. So it's like Spanish, so, and then, migrating over to countries like Mexico or something, they have their own little kind of sub language, that they kind of formed on their own.
So the thing is, like, I never learned Ukrainian, because Russian seemed to be more common for my parents as well. And like with Russian, I can also talk in Ukraine, but I can also talk like with Russian countries, or like states. And we actually also have like Russian and German lyrics in our songs. I try to combine it a little bit.
That's really cool.
We also had a little bit Romanian because our guitarist is from there.
Oh, sick.
So yeah, we try to make like some nice language stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it would be lingual diversity that you have in your lyrics then,
Yeah.
which is super, super cool. And I mean, yeah, that's actually super awesome. The more I know about Ukraine, the better, because all I know is that speaking for Ukraine, one of the best things to come out of that country, musically, would be none other than Ginger. And they had to postpone tour alongside Slipknot, which I'm like, holy shit, they're touring with Slipknot now. They decided to postpone that, jump off the tour, and now they are attending to their people, their fellow Ukrainians, which is super, super cool. And I can only hope that, again, everybody over there in Ukraine is safe. Our thoughts and prayers go out to you. It is a very, very unprecedented time that we are walking into, where out of nowhere, the Kremlin himself is like, hey, we're going to invade Ukraine. And if anybody intervenes, well, it will be nuclear war. It's just like a fuck moment, just absolute sobering. It's incredibly sobering. But kind of moving on, while paying tribute to Ukraine by all means, I wanted to know your top 5 bands and or records over the years, whether metal or non-metal, that have either helped you become a better musician or has helped you forge what you were not compromising to as far as sound for your own band.
It's really hard because I can only like talk for vocals.
Yes,
because like
right.
most instrumental influences from our guitarist, and this is just like a lot of grind and math stuff.
Oh yeah.
I also do, but I'm more into like deathcore slam. But the stuff that got me into like vocals is actually like screamo. I started with Bring Me the Horizon, the old stuff. It really was like the first thing. Yeah, what can I say as well? Like right now, a lot of influences by like the common coming deathcore bands like Signs of the Swarm, let's say like my friends in Mental Cruelty, shout out.
Shout out to Mental Cruelty by all means. That's awesome.
I saw them in like 2019, and since then I'm like in contact with the singer and everything, and he was also like an inspiration for becoming like better in deathcore vocals.
Right, sick.
Yeah, but as well I like to do those really low guttural stuff.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of influence is from Insect Inside. They're like not a really big band, but I really like the style. They're really groovy, and the vocals are really fitting to the instrumentals.
I agree.
2 more, I think. Yeah, I'm thinking about like, I don't really have a lot more for like influence for vocals. Maybe like Body Snatcher or like local bands, which are like helped me to give some tips, or like just the connection helped me to get a better vocalist. But two albums that really were like important for my musical way would be like the Lost Forever, Lost Together album by Architects, because I'm really into into Architects. I love them. I even have a tattoo.
Oh fuck yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And I'm just looking. I don't really know who would be like the 5th band.
Right. Well, if anything, I would ask the question instead of basically you're mentioning all these more local bands. You're mentioning like Mental Cruelty, Insect Inside, all these smaller underground bands. So then kind of taking a step back and, not trying to ambush you with basically telling your whole recommended discography outside of what Red Means No Mercy is, because that's impossible. I know it is for every artist, because I mean I listen to more than 600 bands on Spotify. on the regular, and I have like 50 albums, I think, downloaded and saved to my Spotify. That way I can just listen to them whenever the hell I want. So I get it. So in that case, we'll go ahead and take a step back, and I'll have to ask you how you got into music, period. Where did it start? Did you start in death metal? Did you start in deathcore? Did you even start in pop? Because by all means, this is a podcast about perspective, not just metal is everything, fuck everything else. Like, no, we're all about different perspectives. So take it away, sir.
So as a League of Legends gamer, I played I listened to like a lot of dubstep in my early days, and also like to metal dubstep. It was like a really common thing, especially for gaming. It was really good, but I never stayed in metal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course I had like a rap hip hop phase, because I got like some friends here who listened to a lot of that, but it wasn't for very long. Yeah, I said in my early times, yeah, I listened to like queer beat, to everything, you know. But when I got 15, I was like, yeah, I want to visit a concert, because it's like, yeah, I never did that, and maybe I love it.
Yeah.
And I bought a Bring Me the Horizon ticket without even listening to them, because I was like, I heard one song, I liked it, and I said, yeah, fuck it, I'll just buy it and go there. And then I started to listen more to them.
Right.
And first it was like the softer album, like the Sempiternal, That's the Spirit just came out.
Yeah.
And then I pushed further into like the old stuff and got more into deathcore, starting with Chelsea Grin and everything. Yeah, you know.
Chelsea Grin, hell yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it pushed further into like harder music. Then I got a really long hardcore phase. I still love and I still really enjoy hardcore. And it's going into beatdown now, because beatdown is like actually like hardcore.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a mix now. But also I like to vibe to some, yeah, just like soft music. I really love Starset. I saw them live in 2019, and I really started to like them. Yeah, and I think when I try to relax, I'm just listening to them.
Right. Yeah, there you go. That's really cool. And Starset is definitely one of those bands who recently jumped into a higher tier of the scene by signing on to Fearless. I forgot when they did, but I know that they're signed to Fearless Records currently, and they're kind of like the new I See Stars, for what it's worth. And I mean, Starset, I See Stars, they're like, oh, it's because there's a star in the name. I'm like, no, it's because it's basically kind of more pop influenced metal, pop influenced rock, with some EDM vibes in there, which is very, very hard to accomplish and get a following behind, unless you have to be what is now Electric Callboy, because they changed their name recently. But, and I mean, shit, they're like one of Germany's biggest rock bands ever, and they're not even like that heavy rock per se. But I mean, huge different, like, I don't even know, just a really good attack towards balance musically. You were gonna say something though? I do apologize.
Yeah, I saw them 3 times already.
Electric Callboy?
And they were the third band. Yeah.
Oh, sick.
And it's really interesting how they changed, because it's, you know, in 2017 when I saw them first, or 16, I think 16.
Okay.
It was a 400 people crowd, and like I even could talk with your after show, or like the other members from the bands who were playing. And now it's like, yeah, they got like full concert halls, and they go more into the mainstream likable thing of like listeners. And I mean, of course a band has to change when they get bigger.
Yes.
But I think like it's a really drastic change. It's kind of sad, but I would still like, I'm still like trying to look at the way they will be in the future, you know.
Yes.
Who knows what else will happen to them.
Exactly. And I completely understand what you're saying, because it happens to almost every band. I mean, Beartooth is kind of jumping into that more mainstream vein of music media now, to where they still uphold and they still cherish their foundation. They still have that kind of heavy rock kind of mental disorder awareness vibe that they've always had. But I would dare say that bands like Beartooth now are kind of jumping into more of like the replacement for even AC/DC, which I have to say I would not mind at all if Beartooth ended up being the new AC/DC. Bands like Asking Alexandra, who I've met in person and had like hour conversations with each, they're now jumping more into the vein of Led Zeppelin and just kind of like that really hoarse, like country slash hard rock vibe, talking about real shit, but nonetheless a lot lighter than what they used to be. But then I'm at least
Yeah.
speaking for Asking Alexandra. I've looked into interviews and stuff, and everybody's talking about it. Just bands like Asking Alexandra that used to be so much heavier than what they are now. And they're like, dude, we write the music that we feel is applicable for that period in time. So, like A House on Fire being their last record with Sumerian Records, it definitely helped push and kickstart their new Led Zeppelin-esque era. It really started with the self-titled when Danny came back, but with Like a House on Fire, they started jumping into the more of the vein of classic, just 80s rock. And then with this newer record, See What's on the Inside, I'm saying all this because obviously I'm a fan and I've been checking out their music for years now. See What's on the Inside was literally an album that, quote, we made by isolating ourselves in a cabin in the woods. We turned off our phones. We weren't even talking with our family, and we just made an album. That is honesty. That is transparency. And that to me is what real music is. And speaking, kind of going full circle back to Eskimo Callboy, I remember back in the day when they were a lot heavier. I think one of the first songs I ever heard by them was their feature with Franz of Attila, which I'm like, oh shit, because back then I was a huge Attila fan, and with Pump It or Hypa Hypa, they went into this new strange like clickbait vibe or clickbait vein of the musical media, and I love it, but I really wonder where they're going to go next with it. You know what I mean? Especially when they milked just Hypa Hypa into a full fucking EP with like a couple remixes, a couple renditions of the song with features on it, different music videos for the same song. I'm like, what's going on here? But it's definitely, I can agree with you that it's strange to see bands claim to evolve in certain situations, when it doesn't seem like they're even putting that much effort into the music anymore. But you're like, okay, I've listened to them for long enough, so I might as well try out what they're doing now and see if I like it, give it a chance. And it's definitely hit or miss. I know that there are even now plenty of bands that I used to listen to and have been listening to for ages now, and I'm like, not really with it anymore. Like I love that they're being different and they're not just milking the same album 3 different times to earn 3 times the profit for the same sound. But like there's a difference between absolutely changing your whole branding, changing your whole identity as a band, and just twisting it and kind of disfiguring it in the right way to fit the formula, but also to jump forward, which I think Slipknot does the best. But I do appreciate the commentary that you have provided so far, Mr. Gio, as we kind of continue talking a little bit more about you and then jumping into the juicy questions that I always have for the bands that I interview. And to kind of review upon your top 5, we discussed Body Snatcher, we discussed Mental Cruelty, Insect Inside, and a couple other bands. So as a musician, kind of plucking the I'm a heavy vocalist for a borderline beatdown band, kind of plucking that away, 5 records, or that's 4, 5 records that you would recommend to any music enthusiast ever. And we will go ahead and put that in the comments section.
Okay, EPs are also okay?
Yes.
Okay, absolutely the Only Here EP by Fromjoy. I really, really love it. It's a US mathcore band. At least I think it's going to this way.
Okay.
And they have a really, really good ambience. It came out last year. It's only 3 songs, but there's so much emotion in it. It's like perfect.
Right.
I'm listening to it every now and then. Yeah.
You're caught up
okay.
again.
Okay. Yeah, I would say Diamond by Stick to Your Guns.
Oh,
I think
okay.
the message is really good. I also got a tattoo.
Fucking sick. I'm a big Stick to Your Guns fan. That's awesome.
Yeah, I really love them. I didn't see them too often, like 2 times, I think.
Okay.
But it's like a really inspirational thing if you think about like how you treat other humans and everything, and like the songwriting is really good, and the message is good, so I can only recommend it. Also, I would say Vessels 2.0 by Starset. As I already said, Starset is like, yeah, I just love it. Like, it has so much different things, and they're like also trying new things with the whole EDM style, but like not in a pushing way, but in like, yeah, how can I get a good atmosphere? And there's like the Vessels and the Vessels 2.0 version. It just has like some dubstep remixes in it, and like some acoustic stuff. And I think one song was like remade, and they just like put some new things in it, and it was really good.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's like 17 songs in like the whole album.
Sick.
I'm still waiting to get like a vinyl of it, but it's like impossible. There are like 2 online on Discogs, but they're like $300, and you don't even know if you get it.
That sucks, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 2 more. I don't know if I would actually already say that it's like a top 5, but I really love the new Fit for an Autopsy.
Hey, okay.
One that just came out this year.
Yeah, that would be What the Future Holds.
Like, yeah, I really love Gojira, and I think they really got like a whole lot of stuff from Gojira in there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's an absolutely must have. I have it on vinyl. I ordered it from America, and I really love it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course I have to say the Lost Forever, Lost Together by Architects. Yeah, it's just like every emotion I had in my whole teenage years, like in one album.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I have to go with it. I can't say no.
And there you go, folks. That is indeed 5 records. That is 5 recommended bands. And like to say the least, people, we've had a good conversation with Gio concerning his musical background. He's told us a lot about where he's from, what he plans to do outside of music, which is really, really cool. And I mean, there are people like Joe Bad from Fit for an Autopsy that is actually a barber at a barber shop back where I'm from in Arizona, which is super cool. If you haven't visited Continental Barbershop, I would seriously recommend it, even though I haven't been there. I'm just shamelessly plugging Joe and Matt Honeycutt from Kublai Khan because they're both badass. And I mean, there are plenty of other people in the scene who have occupations outside of being a heavy vocalist or a guitarist. So kudos to you, man. I really hope that goes well. But as we migrate into the second half hour of the Anatomy podcast session we have here today, the 18th episode, which is super cool. We're very, very close to 20, and we've been interviewing so many just awesome, distinguishable, unique bands. But as we move into the second session, or the second part of the session, we discuss the juicy questions about the band itself. And who better to answer these questions than the vocalist? I can only assume the founder of the band, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Sick. So definitely it's right on the money there. But first question being, How was the name Red Means No Mercy for the band established? What is the story behind this, man?
there's, there's yeah, so like we had just discussed back then, yeah, what would be a good band name. We didn't even like really think about a lot of things. And our old guitarist just recommended it. It was like, yeah, and we were like, yeah, let's go. And
Okay.
also because like the first song we had written was called No Mercy, so we were like, yeah, it fits.
All right.
And so, but the thing is, we are now trying to give the name a meaning, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in songs.
Which is always good.
Yeah,
And is
yeah,
the meaning that you're trying to kind of let's see, what's the best term? Concrete for the name. Being that it coincides and is inside the lyrics, you're trying to dissect something and put something together. Up to this point, is the meaning deriving from newer songs or songs off of Moth Eater and the EP from last year?
I couldn't hear the whole question. Could you repeat it?
Yes, of course. No problem. So, the meaning of the band's name, is that deriving and being
Yeah.
plucked from songs already released or songs that have yet to be released by Red Means No Mercy?
So we already have one song where the feature guest actually tried to include the band name.
Okay.
Um, like saying, yeah, this is Red Means No Mercy, and we won't show mercy and everything and stuff like this. But also there was like where we were like, oh, maybe it's not like the best band name to tour in Russia, because they could think like, oh yeah, red is not good.
Yes. Yeah, you got a point there. That's actually pretty interesting. And no
Yeah,
shame in it. I know you were laughing earlier because you're like, oh shit, there isn't really a meaning behind it. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, all you guys are assembled and are working towards a project like this for a reason. So at the very least, at this point, for you, do you have a headcanon reason for like what the name Red Means No Mercy could mean, whether a very vague concept narrative or maybe a reference to something in history, anything like that? Have you decided to conjure your own headcanon for the name?
so I would say I'm still trying. I once wrote a song where I tried to like absolutely give the name a meaning in the song,
Mm-hmm.
but then the band was like, yeah, it's not like the best lyrics, so we didn't take it. But it was
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like we are all together and we stand for one thing, and if you say something like against the thing, or if you're like trying to debate on like human rights or like basic what, how could I say it, like basic common sense, then we will show no mercy to like put some sense into you, you know.
Right, right. So in that case, I would have to ask briefly, like, what has been the goal for Red Means No Mercy as far as what it's trying to push forward with lyrical agenda. So I can see that you're definitely trying to get something together at this moment, which sorry for ambushing
Yeah,
you and you're like, fuck, improv.
no,
Um,
I was I knew this question would come.
right. Well, I'm glad you were kind of prepared for it. So, from what I'm understanding, a lot of the discography of Red Means No Mercy so far, from what you're stating right here in person, is more or less promoting the basic level, the surface level of human rights, common sense, and stuff. And it's like, if you can't understand that, then we will show you no mercy. So, in that case, does even the word red have a specific meaning? Does it stand for freedom? Does it stand for basic human understanding? Because red, after all, it's a color, but it's interpreted in so many ways in pop culture. Red can be blood, red can be love, it can be the color of war, it can be the color of warmth, And war and warmth, those are two different words, so much like such an incredibly different meaning, but there's only about there's only a 2-letter difference between those words. So red being such a bold color, it freaking merch branding for companies like McDonald's or even Burger King, it's also kind of a marketable color for just pushing forward. And I'm not even kidding, like it's a color that you use to kind of hasten people, like, hey, come and get this good food, even though it's pumped with sodium and all this other garbage. Like, come and get our food, I'm loving it, hee hee, like that type of shit. So with that in mind, red means no mercy, I would think it's meant to be very, very bold, and it's meant to be a bold message for all of your listeners and all of those who oppose basic human rights and basic human understanding, empathy, sympathy, and just understanding that war is not the answer for one reason. So in that case, could you confirm in this moment that red means no mercy? It's definitely more of an applicable statement, but it could be, by all means, just kind of opposing that of tyranny, of abuse of power, of abuse of anything, and just kind of like making sure to stay human, stay humble, stay modest, and don't grow an ego out of your dick, because then, like the cancer it is, someone will castrate you at some point in time, which is a very bold way of saying it.
So I can, yeah. So the thing is, we are trying to not only like musically but lyrically, we try to put like hard themes into it and try to get it as hard as it can get, and also with like the themes we are talking about, the topics.
Yeah.
And I would say like red is also like such a heavy color, because as you say, it's like it can be love, it can be death. So, and we also have all those topics like sexual exploitation, or like poverty, or as you say, like war. I even wrote a song like about war now for the next record, because obviously,
there you go.
So we're trying to get like all those heavy themes together and like push it. And I think, as you already said, like the color red really stands for like the heaviness of the problems in this world.
Right. So in that case, red means no mercy could easily be the just like the basic, all of those elements. If you invoke those and force those upon the wrong people, it means no mercy. And especially us with our lyrical content, with what we have yet to release as people. War means no mercy. Love can also mean no mercy. So it's almost a statement of perspective. If you apply red the right way, no matter what it is, whether marketing agenda, war, love, or even warmth, if you force that upon someone, it can invoke an almost merciless result.
Yeah, absolutely right.
There you go. And there you go. I have provided a summary, something like
you have solved a long year topic.
Exactly. There you go. So basically, my next question concerning the band would be more or less how you ended up plucking all of the other members from the German music scene, and how did you all end up deciding on the current lineup? Have there been any lineup changes? And obviously, whatever you wish to not discuss, that's completely fine. More or less, we on the Anatomy podcast here are trying to learn as much as possible that you deem worthy, that is important to know about this band. So right now, it would be just asking the lineup changes. How are the members decided?
So we had a lot of lineup changes in the beginning, because we just started. We didn't even know which genre we are going to do. We still didn't know each other for like, we knew each other for like 3 to 6 months, and actually, in the current lineup, there's only 2 founding members, me and our guitarist, Nico.
Okay.
Our drummer and bassist, a year and a half later, we already dropped a demo album.
Yes.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and we had like some people who tried to do it, but then like the one drummer said, yeah, I can't play it, or the other said, yeah, it's like just not my type of music. I will help you like for this concert, but then I will leave the band because it's just not for me. And it was
Right.
okay, because if you don't want it, just don't do it, because it would be just pain.
Yes. Exactly.
And yeah, it's like it's nothing we have to hide, you know. It's like the members, we know it, people knew it, and it's okay, you know. We don't
Yeah.
have any bad blood with the people. They just didn't feel like it, you know.
Right.
So yeah, our drummer, yeah, actually a pretty funny story. He joined the band because he was the ex-boyfriend from my ex-girlfriend, and she knew that he's a drummer, and we were looking for one, you know. And
Yeah.
then we just asked him to join, you know. And then he joined, and the story with the bassist is even funnier, because he moved here to study, and I saw him at a bus station, and I saw he was wearing a Whitechapel cap, and I talked to him, and then I said, yeah, like, we have a band, we are looking for a guitarist. And then he contacted me, and then we were hanging out. He joined in our yeah, he joined the band like after a month, but we didn't leave him as a guitarist because he just couldn't play like everything, and we had to move forward. And our guitarist, who was really, really good, I'm not even like trying to push the band, I'm just pushing him as a person, because he
Yeah.
puts a lot of drive and a lot of yeah, creativity in it, you know. He's like recording his stuff at home, he's writing a lot of stuff, and then we push it, you know. And yeah, so he became our bassist. And we had a guitarist called Michael. He was there for 1 year, I think. Yeah, but he also left because like he became a SoundCloud rapper, you know. Yeah. And
Nice.
yeah, then we got a new guitarist from our local scene, who was like in some local bands already, who joined us like half a year ago, I think. We already played some shows with him, and it's working really well. Yeah, and we try, and he's like, he will push some more slam elements into the new music, you know.
Fuck yeah, cool. And the cool thing is, like, over time, at least over the last year since I first started this this anatomy podcast and do what I do, which is basically talent scout. I look for bands that I can easily distinguish from others, and that's really who I reach out to. That's really who I'm like, hey, I would love to tell your story, tell the history of your band, tell the story people wise, human wise, about all the members, and then ask all the juicy questions per the name. When I found your band, I noticed that you guys were on Slam Worldwide a lot. And not only that, but there were plenty of people reacting to your content, such as Hardcore Keem, Metal Burb, Hardcore, and really all these
No,
other...
we weren't at Hardcore Keem yet. But...
What's up? Sorry.
Yeah, we weren't at like Hardcore Keem yet, but there were like some smaller people who reacted, and it was really cool.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But at the very least, saw that plenty of people were reacting to your content. And I can't lie, one of the coolest things I noticed about your band was actually the way you guys did your logo, or the way you had your logo done. I thought it was very unique and distinguishable, because other than being a heavy vocalist, I'm also a logo designer, or I'm trying to get into that field. So I'm like, ooh, I actually kind of like the way that one looks. It might be messy. It might be what I was doing in middle school and high school, but nonetheless, people seem to like this music. I like the logo. Let's try to get them on. And here we are. But yeah, super cool. Telling me the history, the legacy of all of the band members thus far. Let's see. Have you guys have played a couple shows? That's what you said last year, right?
Yeah, we played 3 shows because of obviously COVID
Yeah.
isn't like really well done with in Germany at least. They are like really strict with the rules.
Yes. So in that case, have you had any like crazy in-person concert experiences or maybe some amazing interactions instead with fans like just coming up to you and being like Red No Mercy is super badass, or even fucking Luca from Mental Cruelty showing up and be like, yes, I like this very much. Tell me the worst and best stories that you guys have had with your live shows so far.
So the thing is, it's like the worst and best story together. It was
Oh,
in Herford. It's like 1.5 hours from our place here,
okay.
and we had like a really beat down lineup, and then there were us like in on fourth place playing, and like I was also organizing the event, so it was like
Oh,
also on me. And at beatdown shows, especially like in Germany, there are people obviously punching each other.
yeah.
And there was like one guy who was like, "Yeah, I'm going to sue you because that one guy punched me on the head." I even have the video, and uh, it was like a Harlequin plate. I don't know if you know them from Snow
Oh,
White
yeah.
maybe as well.
No,
Yeah,
I
they're
know.
like really cool people. Um, and the music is like really heavy. And yeah, like that guy punched him, and yeah, he was going outside after it because he just didn't want to deal with it. And then we talked outside with him. We were like, yeah, it's not too bad, and like let's try to get the best of it. Like yeah, it happened. We can't do it. We can like rewind. And then he was like, yeah, you can be happy that I didn't call the police or something.
Oh my
And
God.
then then a meme war started online where he was posting on Facebook on the event page. It was like, yeah, how can there's such a bad organization, like people punching each other and everything. And we even like weeks before the show, there were like already comments like, yeah, are we allowed to like do violent dancing and stuff? It was like, yeah, of course, because that's like what the show is about. And he was still coming. He knew it. Yeah, he was like even following like the Facebook conversations and everything. And we were like, yeah, you could have guessed it that like at a beatdown show, beatdown literally means to beat someone
Beat
down.
down. Yeah.
That
Like,
this might happen. Yeah, it might happen. And then I don't know if you know Spawn of Disgust.
no, I don't know them.
Okay, it's like one of the biggest beatdown bands in Germany. They even reposted like the stuff from him because it was like too funny, and like the whole scene was like, dude, what the fuck? And now like a week ago, yeah, it was like 4 months ago the concert. A
Mhm.
week ago he was saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It was just like why now?" you know.
Right. No, that's really funny. It's like, dude, with exactly what you just said, with shows like that where it's literally just IQ lowering beatdown, and you go there to beat the shit out of people in a friendly and consented way. Like, what the fuck do you expect? Like that's the one place where you can beat on people and you're allowed to. You won't get arrested for it. And that's what I think is really
Yeah,
encouraging and welcoming about the culture, not the violence. I'm going to state that right now on my half.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
not the violence, but just, being able to let loose, because life is hard for everybody. And especially when you're kind of you're under the strings of the capitalist agenda, the communist agenda, wherever you're from. It's hard. It gets hard to contribute to the machine, the competitive, excessively competitive machine that is these societies that we live in. So when you go to a beatdown show, you know about the band, you're plugged into the community, you're plugged into the culture, you're aware of how things go at shows. do not expect for people not to beat the fuck out of you if you welcome it. Okay. Like, that's why you do this. This is a classic one. If you nudge someone like this who is in the pit because they're going freaking Saiyan ninja and shit, flopping their arms around and legs around like they're about to fucking verse against Goku or even Aang from Avatar, like, you just do this, and this is like, hey, I don't want to be fucked with. Don't punch me, please. Don't roundhouse me in the face. Otherwise, good luck, friend. Like, that's what's gonna happen. I've heard of such worse predicaments too. Like a dude, there's a AZ local band called Earthwalker. It's basically doom drone metal, which is basically just slower blackened metal or black metal, but without the black metal label, without the corpse paint, blah 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 blah. Just really despairing and talking about how much I want to die. Like, Earthwalker is one of the only doom bands I know with a female vocalist, and I've heard of shows like that where people walk out with a wooden plank that had nails, and someone just fucking smacked it into their leg. The nail is almost all the way through the leg, and they're having to leave because they're bleeding out. Now that's a different story. Do not go to shows if you don't go to underground like deep house party beatdown shows if you don't want that, basically. But I think that is really funny.
Yeah.
And it's ironic that you guys had to run into that, and then a little bit later, 4 months ago, he's like, you know what, you're right. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gone to the show. I shouldn't have been in the pit if I didn't want to get socked in the fucking face, because that's just how it works. But that's just a strange culture we have going on, man.
I'm like, I'm not for violence, but I think if there's like this community where you can do it there, and everyone's okay with it, and there will be this event, go there, have fun. But if you can't handle it, just don't go there, and it's fine, and everyone is happy,
Yeah, exactly.
If I don't want to punch each other and listen to like deathcore, I go to like Chelsea Grin, like for example. Yeah, and if I want like to really punch each other in the face, I just go to a local beatdown show. I don't know,
Yeah.
Or if I want to cry, I go to like a metalcore concert. I don't know. something like this.
That's a good way to summarize it, Ashley. I love that. Because I can tell you right now, the last metalcore show I went to go see Wage War, Polaris, and other metalcore bands, I was in the front the whole time. I wasn't paying attention to the pit, and I was just singing along and even crying along to the Wage War songs because I'm an emotional freaking wreck, okay? And that's okay. That's just going to happen sometimes. But that's what it's for. If you want to get beat the fuck out and get stupid drunk, possibly run into Nazis, then go to a local beatdown show. If you want to at least get roundhoused in the gut, in the nads, and then the face, you go to a body snatcher show, because that happened to me. That was fun, for what it's worth. If you want to get thrown midair, go to a spite show, because I got thrown midair, and then I actually rolled into the fucking King 810 merch table. I felt beer spill over. They're like, hey. And then I just ran back into the pit because I'm like, I'm not dealing with that. Like, that's not my fault. Not really. But I mean, shit happens. Shit happens all the time at these shows. But at least you're not actually getting asphyxiated and dying like a Travis Scott show, which I have to bring that up because that was fucking ludicrous. That was an absolute nightmare. That was a joke of a show. And at this point, it's like, dude, if you endorse Travis Scott, you better at least know what happened that night, because multiple people died. Multiple people had to go to the ER because of it. And Travis is just continuing to play as he's looking at these legitimate dead bodies that are being crowd surfed out of the pit. Like, that's fucking crazy to me. It's crazy. It's culty. But it's like, with that show, that's not really what that was meant for. It wasn't meant to be a place where you get asphyxiated, suffocated, and die. Like, that's not really where you're supposed to do that. And in fact, you're not supposed to do that any show. So take care of each other, people, please, and thank you, at these metal shows, at these local beatdown shows, at these deathcore shows, at these metalcore shows. like hashtag as long as it's not Travis Ryan, let's get it trending, because I will never forgive what happened that night. All those people involved who were just fucking rushing the go-kart because he was trying to give someone in the middle of the crowd CPR, and everybody's just dancing around it as if it's, as if the dude's having a good trip instead. Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
But moving on to the last question for this session concerning Red Means No Mercy, with commentary provided by none other than Gio, who's been an absolute awesome guest. And I do appreciate your time today. I have to ask, with you mentioning new music and the new content that you are trying to create right now for Red Means No Mercy, with topics concerning and bringing awareness to how bad, how inexcusable war is and all that, what is next for Red Means No Mercy? What can we expect either this year or next year, as vague as possible, because I'm sure you guys have to keep that behind at least a layer of closed curtains. Tell us what's next for Red Means No Mercy.
So first I have to talk about the merch drop we just had. It sold out after 45 minutes.
That's fucking cool.
It were like our last EP for the Game Boy Advance. You can just like listen on the Game Boy to our music.
That's great.
It was so crazy. And like that's a thing we will absolutely do with the next release. It will probably be a double EP. So yeah, like 2 EPs in like 1 album.
Oh, right.
Right. So yeah, we will probably release like the first EP and then like 2 months after like the second, and then it's like the whole thing. But the CDs will be like, the CDs will be one. We will try to do like vinyl. I'm at least hoping we can do it because it's like always like it's not cheap.
Yeah. It's not cheap.
Yeah, then these days. We are writing on songs right now. We have, I think, like 5 finished instrumentals. And we dropped the EP like in October. Yeah, like we are working pretty fast on our music because we have like a lot of stuff saved and are always like pushing it.
Yeah.
And I finally have like some recording equipment at home, like the Shure SM7B, you know it?
Yeah.
But like since I got like a lot of stuff for university to do, I can't really record right now. So it will be probably at like the end of April. And we will try to be done with the next release in like July maybe.
Okay.
And do the first music video in summer, maybe August, September. Yeah, because we never really did music videos. We only have like those like the visualizers.
Yeah, visualizers.
Yeah. And yeah, it will be like the first time really putting a lot of money into stuff. And I have a lot of fear how it will turn out, but we will try to get like the biggest out of the next release we can do.
Yeah.
And I'll be pushing my vocals, we'll be pushing the instrumentals and try to create something new. We got like some new influences into the music. We'll try new stuff and show how it and see how it will turn out in the end,
Right. So if just to kind of recap, because there might be some people asking the same question after seeing the session, but the last EP that you guys wrote and released, is this contributing to the 2 EP full length, or are these next two different things? Okay, so these next 2 are different EPs, and then they'll be combining to make one album later on.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So with that being said,
it will be like 12 it will be like 12 to 13 songs, I think. Yeah.
Oh, sick.
12, 14, something like this.
Cool. Yeah, I can't wait. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is currently 2:03 p.m. It is actually an hour since we started the session, and we did the 18th episode with Gio from Red Means No Mercy. And at a different point, maybe even tonight, if Mr. Gio is willing, we will be doing Under the Skin sessions for that of Moth Eater and the latest EP. Otherwise, though, hope you guys enjoyed. We will be getting this uploaded to Spotify and YouTube as soon as possible, I promise. And stay tuned, for we have the next couple guests being Golgothan. We have, Sorrow Eater, Catcher in the Rye, Vile Impregnation, and plenty more. Plenty more. I'm super excited. This podcast is getting bigger. Thank you to everybody who's been following us on Spotify. And Gio, thank you for your time here on the Anatomy Podcast.
It's a pleasure.